And here another little story that happened directly before these conversations that Jesus had. Luke tells us this: as the time approached for him, that's Jesus, to be taken up into heaven, Jesus resolutely set out for Jerusalem. He was going to Jerusalem, and in other texts we hear it says that he was going to Jerusalem and knew that he was going to go to Jerusalem and die there. So we go on and says, and he, that's Jesus, sent messengers on ahead, who went into a Samaritan village to get things ready for him. But the people there did not welcome him because he was heading for Jerusalem. In other words, they said, we don't want you to come and stay here. Now remember, they didn't have hotels that people went into. They went into the community. They asked people if they could stay in their house. And the people in that said, no, we don't want you. You're a Jew. You're going to Jerusalem. You're going to go worship in Jerusalem. We don't like Jews in the first place, and we don't want you here. When the disciples, James and John, saw this, they asked, Lord, do you want us to call fire down from heaven and destroy them? Now this is where James and John got their nickname, the Sons of Thunder. You know, they said, man, we can fix this problem in a minute. You know, we'll just call down fire from heaven. But Jesus turned and rebuked them. And they went to another village. An interesting little story. What was Jesus doing here? It's almost like the events that we talked about with the three discussions about following are tied in to fire to destroy this city. Jesus was challenging James and John, as well as us, to change their identity. Not to be the explosive, off-the-handle, vindictive individuals who said, we've got power to do whatever we can. We've got the ability to ask God to destroy these people. Let us do it, God. Let us do it. Please, please, this will be fun. You can almost see them do it. They didn't like Samaritans anyway. So this was a wonderful opportunity for them. It also challenged their sense of responsibility. Changing their idea of how they dealt with people. They saw a little injustice was happening to them. And they were going to attack it with a huge hammer. Atomic bomb. Boy, these people that they thought had discum, to use the modern word terminology there. Can you imagine the reputation that Jesus would have got if he had let James and John do this? Think about it for a minute. You know, great healer destroys Samaritan village. That would not be a good headline, would it? That would be sort of a negative situation. God was trying to help James and John understand that although in the future they didn't know it, that God was going to give them great miraculous powers. They had to discipline themselves. So when they used the power of God, they would use it correctly, the way God wanted them to use it. And then thirdly, we see that James and John had to have a different sense of security. Challenge them to change, not a security in the things of man. To understand that although they had planned to go to this village and spend the night, and because they were denied hospitality, now they were having to accept trust in God to go someplace else. And there was going to be another village that was going to open their arms to them and accept them and give them the hospitality that they deserved. Jesus was teaching James and John not to be vindictive, but to change. Years later, John wrote the first epistle of John, the 4th chapter, the 20th verse, he said, if anyone says, I love God, but hates his brother, he is a liar. For For anyone who does not love his brother whom he has seen cannot love God whom he has not seen. John learned about love. And if you read the epistles of John, you see that idea of love over and over and over again in those epistles. Our willingness to depend upon God and act as God would want us to act. I heard a story about a mother who was preparing breakfast for her two little boys. One was 5, the other was 3. And she was making pancakes. The two little boys started arguing with each other about who would get the first pancake. And the mother said, hey, this is a great opportunity to teach them about giving and to help them understand that they should be following after the way of Jesus. And so she said, what you need to do is look at this standpoint of what would Jesus do? The 5-year-old said to the 3-year-old, you get to be Jesus. Well, if you think about it for a minute, that's the way we act lots of times, isn't it? We say, boy, I want to get it myself. I want it all myself. Instead of saying, wait a minute, I'm going to trust in God. I will be a follower of Jesus. And to say, Lord, I'll follow you wherever you want me to go. Irregardless of whether I have a place to lay my head. And I'm going to follow after you, not looking back, but doing whatever you want me to do. That's the challenge that God gives us. As Cliff said in his thoughts a while ago, if you're outside of Christ, we invite you to come and to accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. To give yourself to Him. It's a challenge. It's a desire that you should have. It's a desire that we have for you because we're excited for what God has done for us. If you need to rededicate your life or to give your life back to Jesus, if you want to move to membership here and become part of this fellowship of believers, if you know somebody who needs to have Christ in their life, take this time to pray for that person and ask God to change them some way, somehow, so that they can have the opportunity to be a follower of Christ as well. Whatever fits best for you, we challenge you to do that as we stand and as we